go ahead and start. Welcome to the February Advanced Learning Library Board of Directors meeting. I hope everyone is well, safe, and warm. And we have a few items today that we're going to be looking at, particularly in the finance area for December and year end, and then of course the January report and a few other things on the agenda. So we'll call to order. And at this time, we need a motion to approve the agenda with one correction, which would be on item number 4 that states the minutes of the January 19, 2020 meeting should be 2021. So is there a motion to approve the agenda with the correction?
Chuck, so moved.
Donna.
Thank you, Chuck. We have a motion by Chuck and a second by Donna. Is there any further discussion?
Shelby Peterson.
Hi, Shelby.
Hi.
Okay.
Is now joining.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda will be the public comment. Is there anybody from public comment today?
Greg, anybody on public comment today? No.
We have none. We'll go on. The next agenda item will be to approve the minutes of the January 19, 2021 meeting. Everybody should have received their packet. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as provided?
Chuck, so moved.
Thank you,
Abby
Chuck.
seconds.
Second.
Abby?
We have a motion by Chuck and a second by Eddie. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Is there any unfinished business by anybody on the board? Hearing none, we'll go to the next item, which will be new business. We have a lot of finance reports today. I hope everybody had a chance to go through them. And what I'm going to do is turn it over to Christy for some comments before we make any motions. Go ahead, Christy.
Okay. So for the final 2020 finance reports, we didn't have those numbers last month, so we now have those here, and we met our planned savings of $183,316. We underspent in the salary line items, due mainly in the freezing of our vacant positions once COVID hit. That was a strategy that the city used across the board in trying to meet some of our budget cuts for the year. And as we discussed a couple of months ago, the city had put the wrong numbers in our local phone service line, so it does show expended by 65,969% or so. So that was the reason for that really weird number. We had an audit of our phone lines this year, and including our devices, and we made some adjustments, so we should have lower figures for 2021. We hadn't been charged correctly for voicemail charges, which is reflected in the incorrect appropriation numbers, and that will be corrected for 2021. We underspent in pest control. That was possibly due to having less circulation due to COVID. We have data center charges that we were double charged for in November, and in December they took those charges out when normally we would get what's called a rate holiday, but they did not do that. So basically it's looking like an extra month of those data center charges for 2020. Other contractuals show spent 141%. Public Works did not take over the snow removal contract until the revised budget in January and February of 2020. And so we expended $37,960 for that service. For revenues, even though we did not take out as much for the meeting room rentals because of COVID, we still exceeded our overall target due to public computing and state set-off that we received. And we did well with desk receipts and copy charges as well. And so those are the main comments for the expenditures and revenues that you'll see on those reports for 2020.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll have a motion to approve the final 2020 finance report and bills. And then if anybody has any questions further, in addition to what Christy has provided, feel free to ask those questions within the discussion point. So is there a motion to approve the 2020 finance report and bills?
This is Erin. I'll move.
Thank you, Aaron. We have a motion by Aaron. Is there a second?
Jonathan seconds.
We have a second by Jonathan. Is there any discussion, comments, or questions regarding the 2020 finance report and bills from the board?
This is Chuck. I'm having a little trouble finding. Is there supposed to be a full year budget listed in here?
On page 2 of the general fund summary report, and there's a page 1 and a page 2 of the general fund summary report for December 2020. It's
Right. Okay. So that's for, oh, okay. Okay, so the first column, first and second column give us year end.
the first column is the appropriation numbers, what was budgeted in those lines. The second column is the current month expenditures. The fourth one is the year-to-date expenditures.
Today. Okay.
And then we had a balance of $641,944.39 in the second to last column, with expending 93% of the budget in total.
Okay.
Which we were trying to be lean and to make savings to assist with our further budget cuts due to COVID, the city.
Yeah, okay. I just was having trouble finding. I see what
Sure.
you're talking about now.
Okay, great.
I commend the staff because you really did save quite a bit of money then for the year.
Right.
Very good. Thank you, Chuck. Any other board member with any questions or comments for the director? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of acceptance of the 2020 finance report and bill signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll go on to 6B, which is the January 2021 finance report and bills. Christy, do you have some comments?
Yes, so for the 2020 January bills, we have switched to a new software. The city has switched to a new software system for financial reporting. And there was an issue with the way payroll pulled into these reports for the general fund summary and general fund bills. The full-time, part-time, and paid leave is lumped together. And the employer wage taxes and work comp is also lumped together. And then the health and life insurance are lumped together. So finance is looking at this to see if they can show it the way we normally would see in our reports. And then if there wasn't anything that we could get done in order to get these board packets out and get the January reports into the board packet. Tammy is working with them, and she's going to find out how payroll is going to report that going forward. And she'll rework the report and combine the funds together if that's the only way we can have that information.
Very good. So based upon the report here, we have January 2021 general fund bills, grant fund bills, the CIP Linwood Walters, and the gift and memorial fund bills all total $632,143.83. I will note on the year-to-date that the 2020 budget is about 180,000 less than 2020. Obviously, there's going to be some revisions during the year coming from the city, so we'll just take it as it comes. So that being said, is there a motion to approve the January 2021 finance report and bills in the amount of $632,143.83?
This is Shannon. I would so move.
Okay, we have a motion by Shannon and a second by Jonathan. Is there any further discussion or questions regarding the January 21 report? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda will be 6C, which is the proposed program options.
So every year we go through a budget process, and this week we need to turn in our program options, which would be things that we're requesting to have changed in our department budget. We are planning to request two things, and so I wanted to show you here. We have the elimination of hold and transfer fees. We were going to put this through last year, but then COVID hit and we had budget reductions. So we are going to attempt to request that hold and transfer fees are eliminated as part of our revenue generating sources. Our materials budget is significantly less than those of our peers already. We had a $100,000 cut to our budget in 2020 that's expected to continue through 21 and 22. The result of that is that customers have to place more items on hold or wait longer to receive the items that they have placed on hold. We have our smallest neighborhood branches in the city's lower income areas. And because those branch libraries have smaller collections, then holds are needed in order to obtain the materials that customers want to pick up at those locations. We're in the process of remodeling our Evergreen Branch Library, and that collection size will be reduced from a district size to a neighborhood size as well. And for these reasons, we would like to request that we eliminate the hold and transfer fee of 25 cents per item. The COVID pandemic just made it more difficult when we were in limited service and people didn't want to come in or they couldn't come in, having to place items on hold. We did waive those fees in those cases this year. We believe this will improve our equity of access to information and enable the library to better fulfill the role in supporting the literate community. And we're requesting that this change take place in the third quarter of 2021, once the budget process is complete. The second one is to move the internet costs into the general fund. Currently, and for years, we have been paying for all of our internet charges with our grants. And our grants aren't guaranteed, and the grant amounts that we've been receiving have been decreasing over time. And so the library applies for E-rate reimbursement for the costs that for the internet services, and it's based on the number of students participating in the National School Lunch Program for USD 259. We generally receive between 80 and 90% reimbursement costs. And so when those E-rate funds come in, then we reimburse the grant fund if it comes that current year, or it's a source of revenue as our grant fund if it comes the following year. Public computing services are the library's second highest ranked activity and an untouchable component of our service delivery. When we went through a zero-based budgeting process with the city, we ranked our services, and public computing services is number 2. And therefore, we feel that the internet charges should be incorporated in the general fund. to ensure that the library is able to provide Wi-Fi, public computing, technology training, reference, and research services to the citizens of Wichita. We know that the library helps to bridge the digital divide, and in all of our locations, we provide public computing, managed Wi-Fi, that includes access to office applications, internet, subscription-based digital resources, mobile printing, and fax service. This program option would also take place in the third quarter of 2021. We believe that this will ensure equity of access to information and better fulfill our role in providing digital inclusion for the Wichita citizens. So that's an overview of the two program options that we would like to request through our budget process.
Very good. Any comments or questions for Christy regarding this proposed program option?
Jonathan has one.
Jonathan?
One comment. Former Director Berner was an advocate of rate of hold transfer fees because there's a big barrier to equity. And we are very unusual among large public libraries systems in charging.
That's correct. We are one of the few. I don't know another library that charges for hold fees. Do you know one? Buffalo, New York.
I've heard of one that, yes, Buffalo, New York.
I'll also point out that this is one of the items that a couple of council members have brought to our attention that they would like to see abolished as well. So, Jonathan, are you making a motion to accept the proposed program option changes as provided?
I so move.
We have a motion by Jonathan. Is there a second?
I had questions. I had my hand up.
Certainly, Tadana. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just like, wait, I have questions.
Nope, we're here to answer all questions. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm in agreement, and I think these are awesome options. So it's I just wanted some clarification. These are both options that are being proposed. Not to choose between the two, but just two things that we want to implement in this third quarter. Is that correct, Christy?
That's right.
Okay, and then so when it comes to the hold and transfer fees, my question additionally is what will happen to the fees accrued up into the time that we make this transition?
You mean if the program option is accepted and we eliminate hold fees, what happens to the fees that have been already charged on accounts?
Correct.
We would have to look at the best process for that. Probably just waiving those fees, as of whatever date that we can implement this.
Okay, cool. Because that was gonna be. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If they approve that program option.
That was gonna be my follow-up question. Is there potential for amnesty? So yeah, a waiver of fees, that would be awesome. And then my other question is pertaining to the internet. Okay, so is there like the budget? I'm happy that it's being put into the general fund, but I'm wondering, is there something else that's being eliminated in order to cover this cost? What does that look like?
It wouldn't be anything eliminated. It would be them putting this into the general fund as one of our line items, like you see the rest of the items in our budget.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's not currently there, and so we're asking them to put it there And so they would increase our budget by that certain amount.
So just asking for an increase in order to cover it.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I would like to second the move. I know there's other
And
questions.
I think Randy had his hand up, and before
Sure.
that, Lauren had her hand up, but then maybe to Donna ask her question.
Randy, have you got something for us?
Yes, so I wanted to ask Christy, just to confirm, so these transfers and holds are 25 cents each?
Yes.
And what's our cost to deliver this service each year? I mean, it looks like we're getting about $20,000 in these fees and holds. What's it cost us to deliver that?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. We may have one time looked at that and have that research somewhere. I could try to get that for you and send it out. I know we did for the interlibrary loan fees.
We looked at it about 3 years ago, and I think it came out approximately the same.
Okay.
The budget was about the same, so basically we covered our own costs.
Okay. Well, the 25 cents to me seems to be a pretty small fee considering, I mean, we're not charging for a library card. We're not charging for any of the computer internet services, the digital subscriptions. And the 25 cents at least keeps somewhat of a governor on it. If we eliminate that, I'd expect it's probably going to increase substantially. So I don't think I can support at least the first part there on the number one, eliminate hold and transfer fees.
It's a big deal to the homeschool family.
So Jonathan was saying it was
Here.
a big deal to the homeschool family, and I don't know if I heard the very last of your comment, Randy.
The problem is that the charges add up.
Yes, the charges are.
If you are putting it 2 books on holds every month, it's only about $6 each year. But if you are a family with many kids and you have to put them on, it could come up to like 30 books at a time. Then those costs add up and up and up.
Right. And that's why we're talking about the equity of information and access to information. For what might seem as a small fee for me may not be a small fee for someone else. We are not talking about getting rid of the unclaimed hold fee, which is $1. So if we found in the past that we needed some way to not just have stacks and stacks of books that someone places on hold and we move those around and we transfer them and then they don't come and pick them up, but we hold them for 7 days for them. And that's what the unclaimed fee does. So we would still have the unclaimed hold fee to try to prevent that misuse of the hold system.
I remember we had that conversation when Director Berner was here. Lauren, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, and it's sort of to Randy's point about he mentioned being a governor, and we've seen studies where things like this have been removed, and then, if there was an increase in the amount of usage that it got after that point. Like, are we expecting our expenses to go up now because people will use more, or is that not really the case? Do we have any idea?
I don't know that they would increase the use of the holds. They may to some degree, but I think that unclaimed hold fee is what would help people from, if they aren't really needing the item, and if they really need it and want it and we transfer it, then that's fine. They get the information they need. But if they don't pick them up and they just are placing them on hold in case they want them or something, then they're still paying that $1 each item that they don't pick up.
And Jonathan has
And
commented.
Jonathan has a comment.
If people are reading, then it's a problem that we wouldn't want to have if people are reading.
That's true. And I would just notate that beyond or I like to say beyond homeschooling, there's just the access, like people that have difficulty with transportation. If they're dependent upon their local neighborhood library, then having to get a book from another library outside of their neighborhood is problematic in itself. So while we can't have every book on every shelf at every library, it would be nice to be able to waive that fee to hopefully help in some way.
Very good. Thank you. I don't see anybody else with their hand up. Am I
Chuck,
missing?
here, I've got a question.
Sure, go ahead.
On option number 2, please explain that again. I mean, we're going to move the internet costs into the general fund budget. And then, so we're going to have to increase the general fund budget by that amount. That's up to the city, is that correct?
Right. These program options are requests of the city to make these changes. So we are proposing that we request to put our internet costs into the general fund so that we don't have to use our grant funds to pay for them and then reimburse the grant funds. We don't have programs and that kind of thing in the general fund. We use our grants to pay for programming. We would like, and other technology or software that we need that is not in the general fund. So we would like to have that grant money there to be able to use it for those purposes and put the internet costs in the general fund. So we are asking that they would add the amount there on the new expenditures in the general fund.
Okay, so this is dependent upon the city council agreeing to increase our general fund then.
Both of all of the program options are dependent on their decision to include these in our budget.
Okay.
Did I understand you correctly that both of these proposals are coming from City Hall?
No, we are making these requests in these program options to eliminate the hold and transfer fees from our revenue amount and to move internet costs and increase the general fund for adding those into our general fund.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kevin,
Sir,
are we going to vote on these items separately?
I think we will.
Okay.
Any of,
Jonathan has a comment.
Jonathan has a comment. Jonathan?
The cost of the internet program option is about 200,000 a year. Is that before or after E-rate
So
reimbursement?
the new expenditures in for 2021 for third quarter would be 65,418. And then if we get an 80% E-rate refund, that would be 52,334, which increased that budget by 13,084. So those are listed out for 2022 and 2023. So because we're not guaranteed E-rate, we have to apply for it. So we would still need our internet costs funded regardless of E-rate. But so far, we've been lucky enough to get an 80 or 90% reimbursement, which is dependent on that National School Lunch Program for USD 259. And so there's a net financial impact number listed.
I just wanted to be sure.
Okay, yes.
Make sure I was straight on that.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the program option number 1 regarding the eliminate hold of transfer fees?
I so move.
We have a motion by Jonathan. Is there a second?
Second by Abby.
Hi, Abby. Thank you. We have a second by Abby. Is there any further discussion on item number 1? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
We do not have a unanimous decision, but the motion does carry.
And was that Randy? I just,
That was
just
Randy.
for the minute.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, Randy. Okay, on to number 2, the move internet cost into the general fund. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Tadana.
We have a motion by Donna. Is there a second?
Tadana.
The Donna is first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Donna. And we have a second by Jonathan. Is there any further discussion on item number 2? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next on the agenda will be to elect the second vice president. As you recall, Lamont was first vice president, and in his absence, Tadana moved up to first vice president. So we have an open position. This information was presented to you by email for anybody to reply. Aaron has replied, and only Aaron. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that we appoint Aaron as second vice president. Is there a second?
Abby seconds.
Thank you, Abby. We have a second by Abby. Is there any discussion? Comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Aaron, for volunteering. We appreciate it.
Yay, I'm excited to serve.
We're going to put you to work. Next on the agenda will be the special committee reports. Is Amanda with us from the Friends?
As special committees, there's none but support organizations.
Oh, I'm sorry. Had it wrong. Support organizations. Amanda, are you with us?
Yes, I am with you. Can you hear me okay? My camera's
sure
kind
can.
of messed up today. So I do have a couple things to report for the Friends. Our last meeting, last week, we discussed where we approved our budget. So now we approved a few of the programs that the library has sent over to us for proposals, including some of the summer reading. So we're going to have some book donations with that. There was a real-time chat feature that we are going to help support, and also their Candid Conversations proposal as well. And then we also are going to help out the foundation with the leading gift. We're really excited to start, supporting the programs coming up. But then also we have just confirmed a book sale coming up for, it'll be another virtual book sale like we did end of last year, but it'll be March 27th. That will be where when people will start picking up their books. So we're going to start probably end of this week into next week, going in and starting to fill bags for people to start ordering those. So we're pretty excited to have another virtual book sale since it was so popular last time. And then we have more genres as well. So just the different variety we can offer. We're excited about that.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. Any questions or comments for Amanda from the board?
Thank you.
Hearing none. Thanks again, Amanda. We appreciate your work.
Thanks.
Christy Oberg with the foundation. Welcome.
Thanks, Kevin. Hello, everyone. I this time had my board report included in the packet. I just wanted to go over a couple of things. So the first thing that we're super excited about is that we came within $1,800 of our budget, and that was because we were able to balancing our budget, and that's because we were able to reduce costs by about $12,000. We have our final financials now, so we can report that data. The other, and that was with doing 3 items that were non-budgeted, which will bring us additional and help to build the capacity of the organization in the future. One of those was the library card holder mailing that we did, that the library gave access to our printer to those materials. And we have talked about this before, that we were able to produce 64 new donors, but I wanted to let you know the significance of that. So we now know that we have about 580 base donors in our system that have ever given a gift ever to our organization that we have recorded on a computer system somewhere. So that's 12%, just a little under 12% new donors that have been added. So our challenge will be to continue to engage those folks throughout this year and continue to have them give gifts to the foundation. The other thing that I wanted to discuss just briefly is our payout to the library this year is increasing 25%. And this is the payout that we have based on our investment account. And it's going to be 148,000 this year. Last year it was 118,000. And one thing that has happened is that we have separated our endowed versus unrestricted funds. And until just recently, we really didn't have very many unrestricted funds, so we didn't really keep the 2 separate. But now we do. We have about $1.4 million in unrestricted dollars. So it's, well, that's what was added to the budget last year. So now it's important to, or I guess it was actually the year before last, but now it's important to be able to separate those. So this year, the library will receive $87,000 in endowed fund, and then they will receive $60,000 in unrestricted. So the actual amount of endowed funding that they're getting to place throughout the endowments is going to be less, but it is compensated for and made up for with the unrestricted gift or payout of almost $61,000. So we have 4 new great library foundation members. And as you can see in the attachment, we're just really excited to have 4 new members. We have recently currently have board terms, which will have some folks that have been serving on our board for a very long time rolling off. And so it's a really important time for us to be building the board with new folks so that we'll be prepared for that in the future. And that's my report.
Thank you, Christy. Any questions, comments from the board for Christy? Very good. Thank you again. And we appreciate all the hard work from the foundation. It's seeing a lot of good work there.
Thank you, Kevin. One statement I forgot to make was that altogether in 2020, the foundation provided $550,658 for library programs and services. And that includes carryover from former years and grants. But that's a pretty substantial amount, and I feel really good about that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody saw that in the report. That's it.
Thank you very much. Julie Crawford. Julie, welcome.
Hi, this is
How's
Julie.
everything in the Genealogical Society?
Oh, we're just keeping on. We
Great.
still have meetings and so forth. I do want to give one update though. I mentioned in my report that we're moving to a new computer system. And over the weekend, our webmaster, Gary Clark, over Zoom, of course, he walked through the board members how this new system works. And so we're figuring out what to put on it, how to use it and all that. It's called Wild Apricot. We did decide to go with that program of called Wild Apricot. And our tentative live date is April 1st. Of course, that can change a little bit, but that's what we're shooting for. is April 1st.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for Julie? Julie,
Yes,
thank
this
you
is
very much.
Lauren.
Yeah, go ahead. Lauren?
I just noticed that the Dockham sit-in event is happening in 4 days by the Wichita Genealogical Society. And I think that that's a great opportunity to give the public more awareness of Ronald Walters' legacy.
Oh, yeah.
That's really important. So I'm wondering if there's any way to give it a little more of a promotional bump.
Yes, that's a great idea. In fact, another thing is our Facebook traffic has gone up because we're trying to get, I mean, the board member, our publicity person is getting the board members to put things on Facebook about events coming up, and then it just kind of goes on from there. So yes, that's a great idea. And when we have that meeting, I'll make sure that we include that.
Is there any way that the library media department and communications can plan to, share that out or give it anything additional so that more people learn about it?
And Sean's on the call, and I'm sure he'll plan to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is Sean. We actually had a Facebook post over the weekend go out, and it received some pretty good traction. And then we have a few posts on our Twitter account. And I can also put it on our Nextdoor account since we usually get a lot of good feedback from that system as well.
Okay, and Sean, okay, well, you've already done it. I just sent you an email and it includes the links to the Genealogical Society too, so.
Awesome. Thank you, Lauren.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank you, everyone.
This is Christy. Sean, if you'll send that information or just put it on the foundation's Facebook, that would be great too.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Julie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great day. Next on our agenda will be the Director of Libraries report. Christy, take it away.
Okay, I don't have a lot. You probably know that on February 1st, we did start curbside service at the Dr. Ronald W. Walters branch, and that's going well. We still haven't received all of the furniture, so we're hoping to get that in, and then we'll start scheduling some very small tours. And hopefully soon people can start coming in and seeing the interior of the branch. Speaking of that, I wanted to take a minute to talk about our reopening plan. When COVID first started, all of the city departments made reopening plans and tried to project how that would go. And as you know, we've been back and forth with curbside and then partial in-person service and back to curbside when the COVID positivity rates skyrocketed to 25%. And now we are involved in conversations with our leadership team, our management, and trying to talk about moving forward from curbside service. We've talked about that we would like to see a 5% COVID positivity rate in the community sustained for a couple of weeks. Also looking at other scientific information and how some things have changed in the way it's perceived that COVID is transmitted. Looking at Sedgwick County Health Department, and they have recently made a new health order which increased gathering limits. We're seeing a downward trending for the positivity rate. And so as we start talking about what this looks like, if we go back to our partial in-person service and at what point we do that, and then also talking about as we include things like browsing our collections and that kind of thing back into our service. Any thoughts or comments from you all would be appreciated as we continue to talk through that and make a decision to move from curbside service.
Jonathan has a comment.
Jonathan?
I stood out in the cold, waiting to pick up books in the drive-thru. So I'm all in favor of letting people back in the building. But I am a little concerned about the new variation that they're finding here in the county.
Right. Well, that's been something that we've discussed as well. And that's the kind of the thing with this whole process is that we can try to guess and we can try to think how things are going to change or when we can progress to a new stage and then something changes and it's hard to know what this new strain is going to bring. And so that's, you know, we want to do what's best for staff and our customers and keep everyone safe, but also want to provide the services that our community wants. And so finding that balance and the best way to do that is what we're trying to do.
So out of curiosity, the staff recommendations is at a 5% rate, and where is the county rate right now?
Sarah, I think Sarah's on and she's been watching it. Have you seen it today, Sarah? It was at 5.38, you said the other day. I'm not sure what it is right now.
It is 5.3.
5.3, okay. Just so that all the board is aware, one of the district advisory boards sent out letters to certain members of the board. I don't believe all the board members received a letter. I did as president, and I think a couple of the members in that particular district did as well. Did all members receive any type of email from a district advisory board in the last 2 weeks?
Yes, this is Sana. I did.
I did.
Jonathan.
I didn't. This is Chuck. I didn't get anything.
Okay, so Jonathan did, myself, Randy, and I heard another yes.
Sana Peterson, no.
Lauren Hirsch, yes, I did. And that's
Jennifer Goheen, no.
Hang on just a second.
This is Erin.
Westlake
Yes, I
is
did.
in that district, so it was a feeds up to the Westlink.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the board did, some of the board didn't, and I think it would not be surprising that maybe other district advisory boards, because they all talk amongst themselves, might also be sending out letters in the near future. Up till now, this board has not been involved in coming to any conclusions or working with staff regarding what reopening looks like and what kind of numbers would be required before we would do that. So what I'm just saying to this board is, if you do have thoughts on the matter, we'd like to hear them. The staff would like to hear them. Obviously, it is being talked about, as it should. And so, you know, I think in the near future, the board would probably be well advised to make a recommendation to staff and work together with them so that we're all on the same page. So it sounds like the rates are getting down towards where staff would be comfortable with some sort of reopening on a partial basis. But if a board member has a thought on this matter, please speak up, send us an email, make a call. You're welcome to do so. We should be part of the conversation. And that's my point to this board. Comments, questions on that? Hearing none, we'll go on. Christy, what else in the directors?
That's really all I had. And also one other thing is we are staying in close contact with other urban libraries across the country, and in what they're doing with their reopening plans is another thing to consider when we're making our decisions. So, but that's really all I had.
Okay. Any questions, additional issues or comments for Christy under the Director of Libraries report?
Question. Kevin?
Yeah, go ahead, Randy.
So I've been getting some emails from District 5 DAB members, and I think what they want to know is what's going to be the goal we're setting for reopening. So Has staff come up with a firm number, or are we going to put this off another month? I think we should be able to give the constituents a target, and so we have something to aim for. And secondly, if staff comes up with a target and say it's 5%, is that something that the city manager still has to approve?
The city manager has left these decisions to the departments, because what it might look like for one department to reopen may look differently for another department. So we are keeping in close contact with any changes. With the city manager, I did request his support before we moved back to curbside service. So we're not making the decisions without their knowledge and full awareness of what we're considering and why. And so we would do the same in moving forward. So if we feel that there's a specific target and we meet that target and we think we can safely move to a partial in-person service, then I would also reach out and let the city manager know what our plan is.
Jonathan?
Yes. Just as an observation, there is a spread. There's okay, there's a spread nationwide of what libraries are doing in terms of quarantining books and allowing people to browse their stacks. For example, we have a 4-day quarantine. Topeka also has a 4-day quarantine. But Cincinnati has allowed people in their stacks for 1 month. And they apparently did that while cases were increasing. Cases were going up and up in Ohio. So we need to think about the possibility of pressure coming from people who see that states are opening. Oh, things are opening in other cities, but not here. When the virus numbers are about the same between the two places.
Right, and that's one of the difficulties, is because every library in every city is doing, making decisions to do things differently. And so because there's not consistency in the different libraries' reopening plans, it's hard to use that information. What we are doing is reviewing literature and scientific information, and the opinion on how the virus spreads has changed over time since the beginning when this started to now. And with a lot of research pointing to that it's not transmitted on surfaces as much as through the air. Because of that, we are reducing our quarantine time. And so we'll continue to look at those things and use that information along with Sedgwick County Health Department and other cities' health department guidelines and recommendations when we're making these decisions.
Yes. It's also good to look at the potential for what we're doing to contribute to equal spread, to No. To contribute to community spread. We have to think about taking care of our people as well. So it's a complicated problem.
Yes, very.
Okay. With all those complications, I will point out one thing, just my own personal opinion. I do want to be, and I want this board to be part of the conversation as to how we operate the opening and reopening and what that looks like. However, that said, we are only at 10% vaccination in this state. 30 days from now, that should be a much higher number. We have now had our second British transmission, which the experts have indicated by mid-March could be the dominant strain in the United States. So we're at the beginning of that. And I really think it would be prudent to wait another 30 days to see what some of those numbers look like and how the continued rollout of the vaccinations is successful in the state of Kansas, and particularly here in Sedgwick County. So my thinking is, I think another 30 days would be prudent, but I do want to be part of the conversation. I want you to be part of the conversation with staff. And another 30 days should give us a lot better number and clearer picture as to what the success rate is going to be and how we would feel about it at that time. That's my personal thought.
And Lauren has her hand up.
Hey, Lauren.
Hi there. Yes, my question is about what other departments. I understand we're working with the city manager, but are there other departments that have some overlap or that feel like another department that we should basically align with? Because whatever we do may set expectations for community members about what other departments should do. And of course, they may be different, but are there any that we should maybe align with?
Well, I know housing isn't doing the inspections and things in homes. They're using a virtual way to do that, similar to how we're using virtual programming instead of in-person programming. So there's some similarities. City Hall is looking at a way to keep the functions of business on the first floor so customers don't have to go through multiple floors. That's similar to what we're doing in the way of not allowing customers to browse and go further into the collections. I think we can make some similarities, but I think all of our department business is different, and so in how we do business and the type of business that we do. So it's kind of hard to compare, in my opinion, to our different city departments.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other comments or questions?
Chuck here. I want to second what you said, Kevin, that I think the percentage of population that is vaccinated has quite a role in that. Being one of the older people, I've been able to get my vaccinations, but hopefully we can increase that percentage pretty rapidly. And then I think that would make a big difference too about whether we could open or not.
Good point. Thank you, Chuck. Sedona?
I agree with what you were saying about waiting to observe the numbers. And hopefully the numbers in vaccinations will go up. What I usually like to say and only offer in these types of conversations is that we continue conversation and messaging around safety protocols, whether someone has a vaccine or not. When we do get to a point where we are in person, I think that strong messaging to support safety protocols is still going to be necessary. We don't want to have the public confusing this vaccine as a cure. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's my only concern with opening up.
And the city is unified on requiring masks and social distancing. That is something that is required in all of our city facilities. So.
So if any board member receives any communication from its district advisory board or a city council member individually, or even from, citizens in the community, we can at least let them know we're talking about it. We have some ideas. We're just not comfortable yet. And as soon as the board and staff get comfortable and come to a conclusion that we can have a plan, we will announce it. And until then, we're still in the current status. Anything else? Anything else, Christy?
Not that I have.
Very good. Thank you for the conversation, everybody. Next on the agenda will be announcements. Is there any announcements to announce?
Kevin, Chuck
Donald?
here again.
Yeah, Chuck.
I just want a quick shout out. During Black History Month, there's been a lot of discussion about some things, and I had family in Texas who saw something about the drugstore sit-in and was very interested in that here in Wichita. And I was proud to be able to tell them that one of the leaders of the sit-in, that we just now named our branch library after him, and they were pretty excited about that. It was kind of neat to happen. So I just commend the board and the city council for settling on that name.
Very good. Thank you, Chuck. And yes, there was a couple segments on the Today Show a couple weeks ago that talked all about that. Had quite a few interviews and on-site video. Tadana, you're next, and then Lauren.
Sorry, I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, Lauren.
I pre-lowered my hand because I'm as well. I was curious if Sean was on and if he could speak to the grand opening of the library.
Sure.
Sure. We have a small committee of some library staff members, Lauren serving on that committee, and then we have Maddie Campbell, who is the District 3 representative for the city. And we don't really have an exact timeline, but we're hoping sometime this summer, fingers crossed, if everything kind of plays out in our favor with COVID, doing some sort of grand opening for the Walters branch. We thought about doing something at the beginning of March, but we want to be able to bring people inside the library to see the space, to give proper tours, and to really celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Walters. So right now we're just kind of holding off on plans until COVID allows us to safely gather in larger numbers. And we also want to work with the Walters family to see if they're able to come to Wichita to be part of the celebration. I'm also in conversation with Denise Sherman at the Kansas African American Museum to get some more information about Walters that we can have during the grand opening. So there's quite a few moving parts and pieces, and we want to make sure that we do this the right way. So until COVID allows us to safely gather and do tours, we're going to hold off on the grand opening, but rest assured it will happen. We promise.
And I'll just say, I think it's a great opportunity to have something really big to celebrate, right? Like we should be looking for the bright spots when we're all able to get back together. And I think this can be a huge one for Wichita, and it would be a shame to see this celebrated in a smaller way when there's such significance that we can bring attention to.
Did you say that you were going to reach out to the local NAACP branch as well? I know you said the Kansas African American Museum.
I didn't, but that's a great idea.
I think that would be a good, idea.
Any other questions or comments? Any other announcements? Very good. Thank you for your service. We will see you next month. And at this time, we are adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.